Okay, so exponents with negative bases part 2. We take what we learned in part 1 and expand upon it. The big idea around, on the first lesson in part 1 with the negative bases is that whenever you have a something like this where there's a negative sign on the base but there's no brackets, it's like that negative sign is like stuck to it. So that negative sign is going to follow this equation everywhere it goes. So you put a negative sign here, and then 4 squared just means 4 times 4. From this point, you see that you have negative 4 times positive 4. The two signs are different, so you get negative 16. All right, how is this different when you have brackets? Remember, if you have an even number exponent, that means you're probably going to get a positive answer. Let's just prove it. The way that you show this with the brackets is that you have negative 4 times itself twice. Negative 4 times negative 4, signs are the same, so it's positive, positive 16. Another way to look at it, if you don't understand the whole negative times a negative is as a positive, think of it that the two negative signs kind of cancel each other out, and they give you a positive. Two negatives couple up together and become happy and become positive. Let's combine those last two questions and you get something like this. Negative, in brackets, negative 4 squared. Well, that negative sign comes out front, and then the negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4. So that's how you do that. That you have to include right there. And the negative 4 times negative 4 are right there. Well, to figure out if this is negative or positive, what you do is you count how many negative signs there are. There are 3 of them. 3 is an odd number, so we know we're going to be negative. Another way to look at it is, here's one couple of negative signs. They will make each other happy. 2 negatives cancel out to become positive, but you have one leftover negative sign here, which makes it overall negative. That's why odd numbers are of negative signs are always going to give you a negative answer, and even numbers always have a pair of each, which will cancel each other out, will always give you positive. So this gives you negative, and it's 4 times 4, which is 16. So that's negative 16. There you can see the differences between those 3 situations right there. You got to be careful now, because this is the new thing, putting a negative sign up front. How does that change the situation? And you have to be careful with the negative signs. All right, here, very similar to above, you've got the negative out front, so that goes right here, and then you've got negative 3 times itself 3 times. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay. How many negative signs do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, that's even. So that means I know that my answer is going to be positive something. Or again, you can think of it as negative times negative positive, negative times negative positive. We got 2 couples here. No one's left behind. They're all positive. They're all happy that they are coupled up. So anyways, you get positive, and then 3 to the power 3, or 3 times 3, which is 9 times 3, 27. Done. This one here, you have negative 3 to the power 3, and then outside is a square bracket to the power 2. Now some are probably freaking out at the square brackets. Well, what if I got rid of the square brackets and just turned them into round brackets? It's the same thing. It's just that people like to use the round brackets because it just sort of is less confusing for some people. It shows that the 2 is squaring everything inside, and the 3 here is only cubing everything inside here. That's what it's for. So this is a power to a power, and remember in one of the exponent tricks videos, exponent tricks number 1 video, a power to a power, you multiply. And so this question we can rewrite negative 3 to the power 6. We do this, what we just did there was we got rid of the square brackets by getting rid of that 2, because that 2 times the 3, and you get negative 3 to the power 6. All right? Well, this is like the questions that we did before in part 1 of the negative bases. Even number of negative signs. If you don't believe me, here they are. We'll write out negative 3 times itself 6 times. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative signs, which means it's going to be positive. Now the tricky part is, what is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? Well, guess what? You're allowed to use calculators from the beginning. Let's show how we would do this on a calculator. And you're probably thinking, oh, this is easy. You just go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 6 times. No, you don't. There's a shortcut to using a calculator, using exponents. Punch in 3. Instead of pressing times, 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 times over and over and over again, you hit this button here, the X to the Y button, which your computer calculator should have. Or your regular calculator may have as well. It may show something else if you have like your regular calculator. You hit that. That means 3 to the power something. And the something is 6. So we're going to punch in 6. 3 to the power 6, and you get that, 729. So the answer is 729. I wouldn't trust your calculator to handle like the negative 3 to the, and then do to the power 6, because I don't know if all your calculators can handle it. So first figure out if the thing is going to be negative or positive, and then on the calculator do the math and seeing what the answer is. My suggestion to you. Here you have 3, and then it's raised to the power 3. So remember, a power raised to a power you multiply. So this will become negative 3 to the power 9, which is negative 3 times itself 9 times, which is, well, you tell me, is this going to be negative or positive? If there's 9 negative signs, odd number, that means 1 negative sign will be left behind. It's negative. Negative what? Oh, let's bring the calculator out. 3 to the power 9. 3, x to the y, 9. 19,683. 19,683 is your answer. Let's look at the next 3. Remember what anything to the power 0 is. Anything to the power 0 is 1. Anything to the power 0 is 1. And here you have the negative sign. No bracket, so that means the negative sign we have to show. 4 to the power 0 is 1. Negative 1. Done. That's all you can do with that one. Here, we have an interesting situation here. When it's brackets, we have to worry about that whole odd-even thing. Is it negative or positive? Well, what is 0? Is 0 negative or positive? Well, really, it's neither. But when you think of the, I guess, the pattern, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's even, that's odd, that's even, that's odd. Let's kind of consider 0 to be an even number, even though I'm sure some math people are probably yelling at me for even saying that. If we treat it as an even number, then we can sort of say that there's no negative signs. That's actually not that true, not true either. And so the answer just becomes positive 4. So the quick, simple, dirty answer here is that treat this as an even number, which means that this will become positive, positive 4. Now here we combine the last two ideas together. You have that negative sign, which we need to include, and then negative 4 to the power 0 we just figured out is just plain old 4, positive 4. But that negative combined with it makes it negative 4. Okay, so you may need to pause and rewind what I just said if that didn't make any sense to you. But that's how you do it. Okay, this next set of 3, negative 5 squared to the power 3. Again, a power raised to a power, let's multiply, so it's negative 5 to the power 6. And is this going to be negative or positive? Well, there's 6 negative signs, an even number, so it's going to be positive. Positive what? 5 to the power 6. Let's calculate that. 5 to the power 6. 5 x to the y 6 equals 15,625. 15,625. Done. about this? Negative 5, 2 to the power 7. What do you think? Is this going to be positive or negative? Take a guess, take a guess, take a guess. All right, let's see if your guess is right. 2 raised to the power of 7. You multiply those. You multiply a power to a power. And so you get into getting negative 5 to the power of 14. 14's an even number. Even number means you're going to have a positive value. 5 to the power of 14. I'm not going to even pretend to know how to do that in my head. You press 5, x to the y, 14. You get that. It's a huge number. I'm not going to bother writing it down. So it's positive that. I wonder if it'll paste it. Copy. Paste. No, I guess it didn't. Anyways, it's that huge number. Positive that is your answer. Now this. Is this positive or negative? What do you think? What's different between these two? Well, there's that negative sign outside, which always accompanies it. It's that goes here. And then 2 to the power 7, which is this. Now, yes, that positive 14, or that even number 14, sorry, will give us a positive answer. But then we have this extra negative sign now. We've picked up an extra negative sign. Before we had 14 negative signs, even number, they all cancel each other out, positive. Now we have 14 plus this extra negative that came along right here. So now we know it's going to be negative. Negative what? Negative that same big number that I didn't even bother writing down. I forgot what it was. 6 something. This is negative 6 something as well. Alright, so be very careful with the negative signs, especially with these 4 skill testing questions. Be very careful with them. Alright, well, talk to you later. Enjoy.